Hi, I'm Amy Hines from Retail NZ and welcome to How to Retail Building Resilience Edition. We're here today at CareVets to talk about how mental health and wellbeing of their team supports them in an emergency. It's really key for this business to continue to service Kiwis and their pets in times of emergency, and Nick shares how they keep the team prepared. Hi Nick.
Hello.
And thanks for joining us today to talk about business continuity planning or how CareVets be prepared for any kind of emergency. Can you tell me a little bit more about CareVets as like a retail operation and kind of services you provide to communities?
Thank you. So CareVets was founded in 2008 based on how the industry was going. The industry was diversifying very much. So in the veterinary sector, we do a lot of companion animal, which is your cats and dogs, and your large animal, your sheep, beef, etc. And the needs of our clients was becoming more and more, the expectations of our largies to our smallies was becoming quite extreme. So we saw a business case where the people in our team, their experiences, their skills had to be pretty full on, so to look after our companion animals. So that's where we focused. So we looked at where the industry was going and thought, hey, having a model like this where we can support our team, vets wanted to be vets. And so to look after the retail, look after the HR, look after the marketing, having a system like that set up. So we did that with 6 clinics in 2008, and here we are today with 24. So a good Kiwi company. That's just a couple of boys that are looking after it, so with an excellent team.
Yeah, and so that team becomes really key, right? So if we were like think about how the different elements that you guys bring into, say, your business planning, and how do you think about that, and kind of what are the disruptions that you think about in your business operations? We're in Auckland. We've had some flooding, would have disrupted you and your teams, but how were you approaching that even before that event?
It's quite funny, this business continuity planning, it's hard to say. I think we look at it more as be prepared. You don't know what you don't know. However, we can look after our team, we can put things in place we know that there could be a fire, we know there could be earthquakes, we know there could be cyclones, COVID. We didn't know about that. So there's a lot of things we don't know about. So how we include our team and how we operationally each day, that's hugely important. And being prepared for those things that you can be prepared for, and then having a team that you can trust that can manage for those unknowns, I think is really, really important.
And do you look at them in certain areas or certain priority areas? How would you approach it, or how have you approached it?
Real openly. Heaven forbid that we have any of those things. The recent cyclone, Gabrielle, that came through, we had two places, Gisborne and Napier, affected. Gisborne, we couldn't speak to our team for 5 days. We didn't know if they were alive. We didn't know. The stress and the worry and the dread was terrible. But then to actually get them on the phone and find out that, hey, we're cool. We've been looking after our clients. We've been looking after everybody for the last 5 days. We've changed things. They adapted. And it's a feeling of joy, as well as, hey, just well done, guys, sensational work.
And does that work into looking after their mental health and well-being as part of this process?
Yeah, the well-being for us is huge. We talk about it openly. We have a monthly newsletter that is sent personally to every person, so they can look at it in their own time and what have you. On it is 1737, is Vitae, that we provide 3 days free counselling for, and that's for when things are bad. That's when things are that they may not want to talk to us. I'm really proud of our team, and we're not a corporate per se. It's very much about a family-based. Each of our clinics they have their leadership team, and we're there to support them. And then we've got support people in place that aren't owners, that they can talk to. And it's amazing what our team share with us, pregnancies, whatever. So the well-being of our team, and it's meeting with them. And in our clinics too, what we've implemented is a daily, what we call a daily toolbox. And that's a 5-minute thing at the start of the day. We talk about major things that could be happening, and then it's, how are you today? And for some of them, they use a 1 to 10. Actually, I'm a 2. And they don't have to explain anything. They don't have to go into it. But we know that, hey, okay, we might have a chat with you a bit later on. I'm a 10. sensational. And then somebody goes, oh, I could be a 10 too. So looking after them and them looking after their own well-being is hugely important too.
And that basis for mental health well-being, surely that becomes just critical in emergency, that you have that ingrained in your business.
Huge, yeah. Again, it comes down to the people. You know, you can have processes and procedures. We have a lot of our health and safety, the things we have to do and that you need to do to be safe in a workplace on our intranet. So we developed our own intranet. We have it where people can access it 24 hours a day. So if they're thinking about something, if they've gone home, we don't want them to, but so you get home sometimes and you think, oh, how could I do that? What could I? They can get on there, have a look at it. There's a tool there that could help them. They could sleep better that night because they've got that available to them. Do we do it right all the time? No, because we are learning. You know, and I think the big thing for us too is working with membership organisations, working with other people within our industry. Our industry 10 years ago was very standoffish. You didn't share anything with anybody. Now we do. I think the sharing, the learnings, the speaking with Retail New Zealand, speaking with New Zealand Veterinary Association, speaking with those other parties that can help use their experience. You don't have to work it all out yourself. There's the people out there and tools out there.
Tell us how you provide mental health and well-being for your employees in the workplace.
It's very much about, again, the people. You know, trusting your team, working with your team, getting their feedback, getting their involvement in solutions. Actually, if something happens, what can they do? How do they see? And then bringing that into it too. You know, we know what we know, but we've got a great team around us that they know a lot too. And if they are part of that building of the solution, how they get into it, how they do it, knowing their clear roles and responsibilities, knowing what they can do and that will support them is huge.
And have you implemented any certain procedures or policies that helps mental health wellbeing in a time of high stress or anxiety? You talked about having a third party, but is there anything else that other people can consider?
Big one we did and we've found is the daily meeting. So a daily toolbox, start of the day, where people can, out of home, into work, meet with their peers, see how everybody is, others can regenerate each other. That has been huge. Then also having a monthly minuted meeting, which is a proper sit down where everybody, they've got confidentially, they can put in comments, they can put in things. Having that ability for them to put their gripes forward, and what's happened, we also implemented a NPS, so a Net Promoter Score for all the clinics. So everybody that comes and sees us, that's on our database, gets a message, they answer it, and it's from negative 100 to 100. Our Net Promoter Score nationally is about 75. And they then see that, they actually get the comments, they see exactly what the clients think of them. We had one instance where two people, senior people, were thinking that both were doing a bad job. The NPS, we implemented the NPS, they came back, and then what they saw, the comments were, this person is doing a great job, this person is, and the people spoke, their well-being straight away just went, it's fantastic. Yeah.
And can you show me or talk to us through examples of how you address the mental health or well-being of your teams during the emergencies? How did you respond? For example, Auckland flooding, there was various ways that you guys would have been impacted. How did you respond?
Those were real hard ones, and Napier Gisborne and that too. Napier Gisborne more so because we didn't have any comms. We couldn't jump in a car and be with them. We, for those few days, they were on their own, and that was hard. And then when we did, straight away it was phone. It was our regional teams that have a very good relationship with those clinics. They got in touch with the clinic coordinators. They got an update, and then they went to individuals and checked in with them, because rather than doing a third party, do a one-on-one check and regularly. Worked wonders. The feedback I had when I got in touch with them it was amazing that that somebody actually cared and rang us. Doing things like that and just being there was quite amazing too.
Have you seen a measurable impact on your team members' morale and productivity because you prioritise their mental health and wellbeing in an emergency?
Yeah, we're lucky in that having 24 clinics, the clinics that do it well, you do see that. You see the clinics that don't, so that's where I'm saying. And I think the key thing I'd say to a lot of people is don't stress as an owner. I've got 270 families I have to look after. When these things work, when you actually put it in place, you do see the talk. I had an instance where a young lady joined us. A friend told her that she'd come and work for us, and which was nice to hear. She came along 3 weeks into her job. She actually came to see me in my office, which is good. And she said, "Hey, just wanted to let you know that I've done the right thing. I know that I've done the right thing. The team down here are fantastic. We're communicating really well. Thank you for letting me have this opportunity." Couldn't ask for any better.
Yeah, you couldn't, right? Yeah. And do you have a regular review process? I know you don't like the term BCP, but to be prepared, do you regularly review your processes or your plan to be prepared?
And so we are prepared. Again, it's about being prepared with your staff. Looking at your team and saying, are they prepared to handle these things? Have they got, from reviews when we have had things happen, one was we want an emergency box, and that's an emergency box with food, so they can actually stay in the clinic overnight if need be, and I'm sort of going, I don't expect that. But they said if they could have something like that if they did get stuck there, they'd be looked after. We implemented that straight away. Good idea. So things like that they come up with. When we look at moving forward, if there's things that we can do better, we're just looking at some of the stuff, our computer stuff during the cyclone. There was part of our wage system that we couldn't access because of the power. So we're now moving that to a safer environment that we can get from other places and that too. So you're forever learning, and listening to others, how they're doing things, and just implement as you go.
And does that kind of forever reviewing how you're prepared and involving the team in that give them certainty about their role and obviously support their wellbeing in that sense?
I'd say 95% of it is team feedback. So we have a check-in with our team on a regular basis. So quarterly, most people are sat down with and how things going. After an event like this, we talk to the team. What could we have done better? Is there anything that they see? Anything we could have provided them with? Listen. Be prepared to be upset. That you may hear of something and you think, gee, but I thought we did that, and maybe not. So be prepared. Yeah.
Can you share any feedback you've received from the team about being prepared as an organisation?
Yeah, feedback's important and good and all that sort of stuff, but at the same time, it can be quite sad. The recent cyclone was a case in an example. I couldn't speak to any of our team for 5 days. We didn't know if they were alive. We didn't know what was going on. And when we finally did get comms, to hear that they were fine, to hear that they had sorted everything, that the very next day in Gisborne, cyclone came through, they were there looking after their clients without any support from us, with any direction from us. They knew their role, they knew their responsibilities, and they just got it done. Really sad, because they don't need me, but really, really cool that they empowered themselves and they just looked after their team and the clients around them.
Do you have plans to continue prioritising your team's mental health and wellbeing as you continue to plan for emergency situations?
It's ongoing. I don't think you can get too far. And again, it's that be prepared, be real, and celebrate success. I think a lot of the time we can look at what ifs and maybes, but what about they have done? What if the things that they are successful? Keep doing your successful things, and you will be achieving. And again, that's going back to speaking to other people in the same industry, speaking to people in other industries about what they're doing and learn from each other, and talk to your team. Just keep that communication open and be there for them. And I think a lot of that will sort itself out. So we don't have a magic number that we're going to spend this much time on wellbeing, or it is an ongoing thing. It needs to be paramount. It needs, just like health and safety, they're as important as each other.
how do you ensure that your team have access to resources and support to ensure their mental health and well-being during work hours, outside them, and in an emergency situation?
Communication again. We talk quite openly. There's different levels of talking. There's different, relationships. We're in a very, very strong relationship industry. So our team they've all set up their own WhatsApp groups. They've all set up their own bits and pieces. So they communicate well. We're quite fortunate that my team aren't shy in coming forward. So their feedback's really, really good. And it's having the strength and the ability to listen, and sometimes listening to things you don't want to hear, and then and knowing there's no way in every opportunity we're going to be perfect. So it's looking at those times when we could have done things better, apologising maybe, and then moving on and doing it right again.
What are the 3 pieces of advice that you'd give a business owner who's starting out with planning to be prepared, and how they could think about the mental health and well-being of their employees?
Really, the people. I just can't stress that enough, that there's tools, there's bodies, professional bodies that can help set up things, and you've always got your own little 5% that you want to personalise some of these things. Use those professional bodies, but listen to your people. Include them in change, include them in ideas, and be open. Expect the unexpected and celebrate it. Because it's some of these people. We've got 270 people, and they've got good brains. They're great people. I've only got one brain. So I've now got this whole family around me that can help direct how we can look after each other, and I think that's hugely important. And enjoy it. We have fun too. We do some fun things. So work's work, fun's fun, and but yeah, the team.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Nick. We really appreciate you sharing your insights. I think it's really clear that you guys utilise your team in regards to being prepared, and that means that you can carry on serving community, and those are times of emergencies.
Thank you. It's been fun. Thank you.